Hey guys, Jim here, and boy do I have a treat for you. A veritable feast for the eyes. I've got three incredible knives here because I'm going to be showcasing the talents of two incredible individuals. One is Faisal Yamin, who is the designer of all three of these knives, and Mr. Les Voorhies, who was the creator, the maker of these three knives. And I've done videos on Les's work in the past. You guys have seen the Model 15 and everything else, but this is something that's quite a bit different. And what we're going to see are three really exotic examples of what Les can do. And we're also going to see some great design work from Faisal as well. Let's talk about Faisal for a second as you kind of soak these in before I pick them up and start playing with them. Faisal has been involved with the knife community for about 15 years. He took a little bit of a break, and then he just kind of got back into it in the last year or two. He's designed a lot of knives. He followed Joel Perella's work. You guys know I'm a big fan of Joel Perella. I have one of his knives as well. And he tends to go in a slightly different direction. He likes the big sweeping flow of the overall knife, but he tends to be a little bit more rounded and curvaceous in the way that he designs. His other big thing, and you'll see that here in the long claw especially, is he really likes to have the blade as long as possible in relation to the handles, so that when the knife is deployed, when the blade is deployed, the blade will actually come out looking longer than the handle itself. So he tries to make some really useful designs and fit as much blade into the handle as he possibly can. Now, he's taken a lot of inspiration along the way. He's learned a lot from Les, a lot from Alan Elishewitz, especially on the technical perspective, as he says. What I find interesting is he's able to, and I've watched him do his designs on Instagram and kind of show how things were coming together on the Simplex. He has a wonderful way of knowing technically how the knife needs to operate when he designs it. Now, for some guys that are just designers, that just design knives and turn them over to a maker, a lot of the times it's up to the maker to try to figure out how to make that crazy design work. And Faisal's a little bit different. He really does put a lot of thought into where the detent is going to be, and if it's going to be, like an internal blade stop, how that track is going to be in relation to the pivot and the detent. He does a lot of work to, I guess, take some of the work away from the maker so that basically they could just sit down and know that they've got a solid design that they can start working on right away. Now, he's done a lot of collaborations, he's done a lot of cool things, but I really like the work that he's done with Les particularly. Let's start by telling you about the knives individually. First off, we have his newest, which is the Simplex. This will at some point be available in, I believe, 3 different sizes. So this is the Simplex design with a really heavy taper toward the butt end of the knife. Just a quick look at that. Great action as always. All 3 of these are fitted with ceramic everything. So there's ceramic detents and ceramic bearings for the bearing system around the pivot. Now this one right now has kind of become my favorite. This is the Supernova. I remember seeing this at the Blade Show, and when I was hanging out with Faisal and hanging out with Les. It is an incredible knife all the way around. It's got a lot of heft to it. It's got a lot of beef to it. Just a super, super amazing knife. And then there's the Long Claw, which I just started getting some experience with about a week ago. And I'm going to be getting one of these built for me as well. This is it's a strange thing for me because I do not like banana-shaped blades. I've discussed that before when talking about Brad Southard's work and some other makers that tend to favor that style. It's just not me. But once I had the chance to play with one of these and carry it for a few days, I'm blown away. It is a superbly useful blade shape. It really is. Not that that's a huge deal for me. I'm not a hard user. I don't have tasks that come up on an everyday basis where I have to do particular cutting tasks, but it is nice to know that when you've got it, It's going to do pretty much anything that you could throw at it. Now I'm going to take two of these out of the way, and we're going to start with the Supernova. Now, the Supernova, you've got about a 3.5-inch blade on here. And when Faisal talks about the length of the blade, he's really only talking about the cutting edge. So it really is a little bit more than a 3.5-inch blade. What you've got here for the blade material is Chad Nichols Sanmai Damascus with CTS XHP core. I'm actually having Robert Carter build me a knife with this exact same blade material. It is super tough. It is luxurious. It's beautiful. Holds an edge really, really well. And you know what? It's got a great bit of drama to it. It's not like having a standard Damascus blade. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I like having a clad blade. I like actually seeing one steel almost melting over on top of the core steel. It is really, really breathtaking. Now, what you're also getting into here is a really exotic mix of materials. So let's get this open. We can give you a better look from the inside. So we'll start with the liners in the frame. You're looking at blue anodized titanium. Faisal has a big thing for blue and for purple, as you may have noticed. These are all three his personal knives. As a matter of fact, that Simplex, he hasn't even touched that knife yet. Luckily, Les shipped it to me with these, and I get to play with it before even he does. So you have blue titanium for the frame. Then you have an overlay, a big scale of zirconium. You'll see the titanium pivot right here. And then you have a very large, very thick overlay of Damascus. This is really, really sexy Damascus. Then he brings the whole theme forward here by using a zirconium clip that goes over that Damascus, held on with the two blue titanium screws. The zirconium bead here was also made by Les. And the other two knives do have beads in the boxes. I'm just not going to bring them out here. There's no sense in it, but Les is making some damn incredible beads. Now, of the three in these particular examples, this one has my favorite action. Faisal actually likes kind of a lighter detent. I like a stronger detent. This is more of a medium, but this thing is a freaking rocket. I don't care what you do. It just comes screaming out. There is Faisal's logo right there. Good look at that clad blade. That is so gorgeous. And notice how prominent these grinds are. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful in every way. I also like this because it's a very compact knife. Overall, it's a very, very compact and easy to carry knife. Now, it's weighty because you have all that zirconium and you have very thick overlays of Damascus, but I really like the overall feel of this. Oh, just amazing. So of the three, currently this is my favorite based on the action, based on the overall feel. And of course, I like the combination of materials. I like blue up against zirconium. I think it looks fantastic. And by bringing it into Damascus, makes it quite a bit more exotic as well. So we're going to get rid of this. Also notice it looks like a really large flipper tab. It's actually not. This is almost looks like a Tashi flipper tab the way it's been shaped. But you'll notice the way they brought the frame down almost completely covers the flipper tab right there. So it's got a really nice clean flow all the way around. Oh, I forgot to mention the back spacer with the lanyard opening is made of zirconium as well. Faisal's also really big about having lanyard openings, which I love. I'm glad that he incorporates that into all of his designs. This is just awesome. Having had the chance to meet Les in person, I could tell you he is a wonderfully, wonderfully nice guy. Fairly quiet. You know, he's not really the kind that's going to talk your ear off or anything. He's a pretty serious, intense guy, but just a super awesome individual. And I don't really know that he gets how good he really is, because his prices really are very, very fair. Now, of course, his books are closed. You cannot order from him, but I would very highly suggest that you go to Les Voorhies' Facebook page and follow that page, because there are a lot of times, as a matter of fact, that he'll run lotteries. And he'll just build a knife for that and go, okay, I'm going to have a knife available tomorrow. I'm just finishing it up. Put in here if you want one, and I'll pick somebody from that list. And I've known 3 people now that have gotten knives off of his Facebook page in that way, and paying direct prices. Not paying, 2 and 3 times what the knife was actually originally sold for. So it's a really nice thing. So definitely follow him on Facebook. Now, the next one we're going to get to here, that's a hell of a lot of purple, isn't it? Isn't that incredible? Let's close the blade for a second, and let's just focus on the beauty of the exterior of this knife. This is an incredible degree of detail. This is also really the most exotic use of materials of the 3 knives that I have here. Just fantastic. Really, this is a showpiece. Now, he is the type that carries his knives. This is the kind of knife that most people would never, ever, ever dare throw in their pocket. It's just too pretty. But he's a lot like I am in the fact that if you got it, it's there for a purpose. Use it. This is the Long Claw, and it really is appropriately named. What you've got here is a 3.8-inch cutting edge, and it absolutely feels like you've got at least a 4-inch blade here. It is really, really big. What makes this particular variation special, besides the fact that it is the one-off that was made for him, this is Stellite 6K. This is a material that Les really doesn't like working with a lot, so you're not going to see a lot of Stellite blades from him. It's really a bitch to work with. So that's why it has this rather unique finish, because you can't take Stellite and do crazy polishing and things like that. He actually did a really nice job on a deep etching of his logo here and Faisal's here. Really awesome blade. So basically you've got a blade, there's nothing standard in this knife whatsoever. Basically you have a blade that's never going to rust, and there's really nothing else in here that can either, because aside from the pivot, everything here is titanium. So, the liners. Purple anodized titanium, done to a very rich, luscious purple. And I do love that, that sandblast on there as well. Just gorgeous. All right, the scales over the liners. This is Nichols Zircotai. Now, we discussed that before with the Zircotai Razel that I have from John Graham in my collection. Basically, it's just like making Timascus, but instead of having 3 different kinds of grades of titanium put together to create this pattern, one of those is taken out and replaced with zirconium. So you have zirconium and titanium made into this kind of alloy here. And that's what's giving you this gorgeous, unique look. Now, you can bring a lot of different colors out of Zircotai. I really think that it's cool to see how he went to purple. I don't know how difficult it is to achieve purple, but I know a lot of makers don't even really mess with that color at all. So I'm thinking there's quite a bit of a challenge there. Maybe not as hard as green, but it really is a striking, striking look. And then you've got zirconium for the clip. And the back spacer here is rather unique as well. Let's take a good look at that. This was a specially made bar of Timascus. This wasn't normally readily available for you to order from Alpha Knife Supply. This was custom made just for Les and just for this knife. So that's pretty damn cool. And basically the whole way that this design came about was around the time of Blade, Faisal said that he wanted something that would be a really good steak cutting knife. He wanted to have that kind of blade profile, and it was never intended to be this large. It ended up being a lot larger than he expected, but once he had it in his hands, he realized, holy crap, this is a really great size, and it's a really cool, unique design overall. Now, I don't want you to be completely overwhelmed by the colors and the materials that are used here. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring out a more basic variation. I just happen to have in my hot little hands the very first long claw that was ever made. This is going to be golden anodized titanium, zirconium, and hammered golden anodized titanium on the overlays. Now I want you to listen to this. I don't know how well my camera is going to pick this up. I'm going to move it up here closer to my microphone. The action is incredible. Do that again. It has a wonderful metallic sliding sound as it opens and as it closes. It's incredible. So to give you more of an idea of what the standard long claw will look like, there it is right there. Still, it's still pretty flashy, but not nearly as crazy and flashy and overdone as this one. Now I like that. I actually like overdone. You guys know me on certain knives, and this knife certainly does lend itself well to that overdone look, but traditionally they're going to have the overlays here instead of having a full giant scale. He's already done a couple of the full scale, but this is really the overall design of the long claw, and this is the standard clip that you would be receiving, not really the 3D sculpted clip. Now I do like the action better on long claw number 1 here. It's a little faster. Definitely a little bit smoother. Yep, it's quite a bit smoother. But this one also may just be broken in a little bit more as well. My buddy Abe let me borrow this about a week ago. I've been carrying it, I've been playing with it, I've been lusting over it, and that's when I decided I needed a long claw for myself. So, yep, I'm breaking my own rules just because the knife is that fucking great. It feels so good. Now let's get to the third and final knife. I am kind of having to rush through this because y'all know my camera cuts me off around 22, 23 minutes. I'm really trying to fit in all 3 knives here all at once. So what we're looking at here is their newest collaboration called the Simplex. So you've got a really big fat blade and a tapering frame. Nice choil up here and great ergonomics overall. It is a little more tapered than I personally like. I almost feel like I'm not getting enough of a grip back here, like it wants to kind of slide out this way. But depending on your material choices, you could have something that has a little bit more tactility to it than black Damascus, and it might feel a little bit more solid in your hands. The blade on this, and you're not going to pick up on this right away, I don't think, because I haven't seen etching done like this on this material. But this is the Grosse Rosen pattern of Damasteel. Now, you guys have seen me do a few videos on Damasteel, like in my Brian Ty knives, one that was in my Andre de Villiers. I'm used to seeing Damasteel etched much, much differently, where all the high points are mirror polished, and then all the valleys in the material go black, black, black. And this looks a lot more like a standard high carbon steel Damascus blade, because it's kind of shades of gray instead of being that black and white look that we usually see Damasteel done in. The jury's out on me for me as far as how I feel about this particular finish. I think it's great if you're looking at a standard Damascus blade, which is what most people are going to think this is, but this is Damasteel. It's all of the alloy is done in stainless steels. So there's a little bit less upkeep than you would have in a high carbon Damascus. And let's see, starting again with the frames, you get in here to the liners, golden anodized titanium with huge, monstrous, and exorbitantly expensive overlays of black Damascus. Here you've got the zirconium backspacer with the lanyard opening as well. He did make a custom lanyard that matches the color scheme here. Zirconium pocket clip and a standard steel pivot. The action, even from such a small flipper tab, is fantastic. The ergonomics, again, for me, it tapers a little bit too much from my larger hand. Faisal's a much smaller guy than I am. I think his hands are probably also a lot smaller, so he's going to be able to wrap around it a little bit differently than I will. I think it feels nice overall. It's very smooth. This is not a tactical style knife, so there's no jimping or anything like that. This is really a great crossover of somewhat tactical crossing over into art knife territory. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing from Les lately is more artistic representations of the quality of his work. Just, I mean, overall, fantastic. The whole idea and the reason why it's called simplex is because Faisal wanted a really simple design. It was his original goal with no flares or crazy edges or protrusions or anything. It ended up being a little bit more difficult to make than he initially anticipated. This is not a cheap knife sitting here in front of me. But I don't think also that this is going to be the standard clothing for this knife either. I think that you're probably going to see a lot more standard titaniums and anodized titanium and, you know, maybe some, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Maybe like just some carbon fiber overlays or something. But there are going to be a lot of different variations available of this. And there are going to be a couple of sizes as well. So keep that in mind. So anyway, I wanted to give you guys a chance to see all three of these side by side, as I have been whoring out the pictures on Instagram. One of the few times I decided all of the knives that I had in front of me were worthy of breaking out the DSLR instead of just doing iPhone pictures. I had a lot of fun shooting these. I've had a shitload of fun playing with these. Faisal, yeah, I'm going to carry this before I send this back to you, so sorry. I love you, but that's just too awesome of a knife. So hopefully next time you see me talking about a long claw, it will be my own long claw from my collection. Thank you guys for watching as always. Check out Faisal on Instagram. I'll put his Instagram name in the description. Same for Les. Les is easy. It's at Les Voor, V-O-R. Very easy. But I'll have to spell Faisal's name for most of you. Make it a little bit easier. I will see you guys on the next video.